When you're on the go, what goes in your pocket? Maybe it's your keys, wallet, or phone. These items may be small, but they're essential, right? Think of this podcast as another essential tool that supports your preparedness wherever you are. Welcome to the pocket size series of our podcast, Preparedness in Your Pocket, designed to be your portable solution for emergency preparedness education. As the name suggests, these episodes are pocket size, taking our full-length content and making it easy to listen to in the time it takes to count on two hands. This podcast is brought to you by the Maryland Emergency Preparedness Network, a dedicated communications network that provides no-cost emergency preparedness education, training, and resources to home and community-based care providers, patients, and their caregivers. As your preparedness partner, let's get to know each other. My name is Kendal Lee, and I am the EPN's Program Administrator and your host. I am here to empower you on your preparedness journey, and I saved you a seat at the table. I'm so glad you're here. As always, I say that sharing is caring, and I can't wait to share this information with you. In our first full-length episode of Preparedness in Your Pocket, we had the privilege of welcoming our first guest, Jacqui Robinson. And no, I'm not talking about the famous baseball player, but FEMA Region 3's Community Preparedness Officer who truly knocked this episode out of the park. In this episode, we covered why emergency alerts are essential. We provided an overview of the Integrated Public Alert and Warning System, otherwise known as IPAWS. We talked about the different types of alerts under the IPAWS umbrella that you can receive, such as the EAS, the WEA, and the NOAA, all of which we will define shortly. We then talked about how you can prepare and respond effectively when you receive an alert. So let's start off by talking about the why behind why emergency alerts are essential. Receiving timely information about emergency events can make all the difference in knowing when to take action to keep yourself and those you love safe. It's important to know that the delivery of emergency alerts are truly a team effort. The local police and fire departments, emergency managers, the National Weather Service, the Federal Emergency Management Agency, otherwise known as FEMA, the Federal Communications Commission, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, and private industry are all working together to make sure that you can receive alerts and warnings quickly through several different technologies, no matter where you are, whether that be at home, at school, at work, on the go, or in your community. Now let's start off by talking about the IPAWS system. What is the IPAWS system? It stands for the Integrated Public Alert and Warning System. It is a comprehensive system managed by FEMA that enables or allows authorized individuals to send emergency alerts and warnings across multiple communication channels. What type of devices can these alerts be sent through? The alerts can be sent to mobile devices such as radio, television, and other platforms. What are the type of alerts that it includes? It includes weather warnings, local emergencies, amber alerts, and public safety announcements. Now, let's talk about the wireless emergency alert system. What are they? The WEA is a component of the IPAWS system that sends short emergency messages to mobile devices in a specific area. What are the devices again? As we just mentioned, they are smartphones and other mobile devices. What types of alerts can you expect to receive through this system? Alerts for severe weather, imminent threats, local emergencies, and amber alerts as well. Now let's talk about the emergency alert system. It is a national public warning system that broadcasts emergency messages to the public through television, radio, cable, and satellite providers. What are the type of alerts you can expect to receive through this system? Alerts include weather warnings, imminent threats, disaster information, and presidential alerts for national emergencies. That is what makes this system unique. Lastly, let's talk about the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, otherwise known as NOAA, and its weather radio. It is a nationwide network that broadcasts continuous weather information from the nearest National Weather Service office, including warnings, watches, forecasts, and other hazardous information. What devices could these alerts come through? The National Weather Radio receivers and other compatible devices. So, again, it's a unique weather radio. What types of alerts do you receive from NOAA? You receive weather updates, warnings for severe weather conditions, such as tornadoes, hurricanes, etc., and emergency broadcast. Now that we talked about the several different types of alert systems that exist, let's talk about their relationship. How do they intersect? So the iPause is the backbone that supports the wireless emergency alerts, so the WEA, and the emergency alert system, the EAS, allowing these systems to distribute emergency information. The WEA then delivers these localized alerts directly to mobile devices through the iPause system. So again, the iPause is that framework that the WEA and the EAS stream through. Now, the EAS broadcasts emergency messages through your TV and radio. Again, often integrated with iPause for a more widespread reach. Then lastly, we have the NOAA weather radio that provides continuous broadcasts that can complement alerts sent out by WEA and the EAS that focuses mainly on weather conditions and warnings. The takeaway is that these systems work together to ensure comprehensive alert coverage across different platforms and devices with the purpose of keeping the public informed during emergencies. So now that we talked about the different type of alert systems and how they work together, when you receive an alert, what should you do? Step one is staying calm, reading, and listening carefully. Take a moment to read or listen to the entire alert. Pay attention to the type of emergency, the recommended actions, and the specific details, such as the affected areas and the time frames. I want to acknowledge how challenging that this can be, as emergencies can be quite stressful. But if you can remain present and grounded, you will be able to take the steps you need to support your safety and those that you love. Step two, following instructions. Alerts will often include instructions specific to your situation, such as evacuating an area, seeking shelter, or avoiding certain activities. Follow these directions as closely as possible to keep yourself and others safe. Step 3, check reliable sources for updates. Make sure that you confirm the information with trusted sources like the local news, official websites, and official social media accounts from emergency management agencies to stay updated and verify any new developments. Step 4, prepare your emergency kit. If the alert suggests an evacuation or long-term sheltering, etc., make sure that your emergency kit is ready to go with essentials such as food, water, medications, important documents, a flashlight, batteries, and a first aid kit. All of that information can be found at ready.gov. Number 5, communicate with your loved ones. Reach out to family members and friends to make sure that they're aware of the alert and talk about any necessary action plans or check-ins with them. Lastly, be ready to adapt. Emergencies can change quickly, so remain alert to new information and be prepared to change your plans if needed. Now that we've talked about the different types of alert systems, how they work together, and what to do when you receive an alert, let's talk about some resources you can tap into to stay alert, pun intended, informed, and prepared. In this full length episode, we talked about the National Risk Index. It's an interactive tool that allows you to learn about your community's risk level for natural hazards, such as floods, for example. Knowing your risk for an emergency is the very first step in preparing for one, so we encourage you to check this resource out. We also talked about ready.gov as an essential resource for tips and tools to plan and respond to emergencies. Lastly, you can check out the FEMA's website, but we also talked about FEMA's app for real-time alerts and preparedness resources right at your fingertips that can be downloaded on any mobile device. Thank you so much for tuning into today's episode that remind us that staying informed is one of the most important tools in your preparedness toolkit. If you want to dive deeper, tune into our full-length episode of Preparedness in Your Pocket and review FEMA's fact sheet titled Know Your Alerts and Warnings that will be linked in the show notes. Thank you for joining us for this pocket-sized episode of Preparedness in Your Pocket. This podcast is brought to you by the Maryland Emergency Preparedness Network, formed in partnership with the Maryland National Capital Home Care Association and the Office of Preparedness and Response within the Maryland State Health Department. We hope to meet your curiosity here with content that boosts your confidence and strengthens your preparedness. At the EPN, we truly believe that sharing is caring, and so we invite you to subscribe to our podcast and share it with friends, family, colleagues, or anyone in the community so that we all empower each other's preparedness. Please note that the information provided in this podcast is for educational purposes only and is not intended to serve as legal or professional advice. While our discussions may include topics and products offered by the participating organizations, listeners should consult with relevant professionals or authorities for specific guidance and recommendations. The views expressed by our guests may reflect those of the hosting organization, but are not intended to replace official advice or guidelines. We can't wait to connect with you again. Until then, stay prepared and take good care.